Hi guys, welcome back to another video from English Valley Cafe. My name is Anne. Have you tried talking to native speakers but you run into this awkward moments in your conversation? Well, let's talk about it. Today. I'm going to give you some tips on how to have a pleasant, a fun, a good and amazing conversation with native speakers of English. Alright, and before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to English Valley Cafe and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. So let's get into it. Alright, the first tip that I have is to ask open-ended questions. And open-ended questions start with like who, what, where, when, why, how often, how much. So these are kind of the questions that will make the other person provide you more information and you're able to carry on a more interesting conversation rather than asking the other person questions that are just yes or no questions. Like, do you like to travel? Yes. Do you have a pet? No. You see how this is really boring and you cannot even carry on a conversation like this. All right, so the first tip is to ask open-ended questions. The second tip is to make eye contact. And this is really important if you are talking with somebody face to face. When you make eye contact with someone, you look at them when you are having a conversation with them. And when you do this, you're telling the other person that I'm interested in what you are talking about and I am listening to you. Really simple. So you're showing your sincerity, you're showing that you're genuinely interested in what they're talking about. The third tip I have is to be an active listener. And this kind of goes along with making that eye contact. When you are an active listener, you are showing the other person that you are interested in what they're talking about, and it makes the conversation flow more smoothly. So imagine like your friend is telling you like, oh, yesterday I went out with some friends and we had a good time. We went to a really fancy restaurant to celebrate one of my friend's birthday. And so your friend is really excited, but then you respond and say, oh yeah, and you know what? I'm going traveling next week. That's kind of awkward, isn't it? So that would be in an awkward moment because your friend is so excited talking about the birthday celebration and then you say you're gonna go travel next week. So try to listen to see what the other person is saying and then respond accordingly. So in this case, you might say, oh, wow, that's great. Yeah, last week I went out with some friends for our birthday celebration too, and we had a blast. So when somebody is talking, don't just think about, okay, what am I going to say next? Okay, what do I want to tell her next? Or what do I want to tell him next? Trying to actively engage in what the other person is saying. All right, the last tip that I have for you is don't ask sensitive questions. And this is especially true if you are just meeting the person for the first time or if you don't know much about the other person. And I'm going to talk about this from the perspective of an American culture. So it's not polite when you ask somebody about their age, about their weight, about their marital status, like if they're married or not, or talk about politics. Like, try to avoid these sensitive topics. And this is especially true if you don't know the other person or if you're meeting the person for the very first time or if they're just an acquaintance to you. Avoid these sensitive questions. Good topics to talk about would be like sports, or hobbies, maybe interests, travel, maybe a good book that you've read lately, about food, about work. And these are all really good topics to break the ice, to start talking to somebody. All right, so I hope you find these tips useful and that you're able to carry on an interesting, amazing conversation with a native speaker next time. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next video. Bye!